Helen Andrews, and members of the public will be watching to the Hythe Dibden Parish Council meeting for April 2021. Can we all have a moment's silence to compose ourselves and prepare for the meeting, please? Okay, that'll do. Right, okay, apologies for absence, please.
Councillor Matthew Kitcher.
Right, okay, now members, we're going to have the normal roll call, so I will call you out and you all say present. Councillor Mark Clark.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Sean Cullen.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
Present.
Councillor Alan Fairhead.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor no, he's not here, he's apologised. Councillor Simon Lodge.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Melody Roberts.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Alex Wade.
Present, Chairman.
And myself, the chairman, is also present. Right, excellent. We've had apologies. We now go to declarations of interest. To note item 2, to note any declaration of interest made by members. We haven't had any, have we? No. To receive any written requests for dispensations. Have we had any, Claire? No.
No.
To grant any requests for dispensations.
Malcolm.
Oh, we have got one, haven't we?
Yeah, I've got a. I couldn't comment on one of the 21-10402 on the planning thing. So
okay.
Declarations of interest there because that's in my road.
Okay, that's noted. Yes, Sue. Yeah, there is a declaration.
Well, no, I just wondered whether Alan wanted to declare any interest because of the peer application or not. Just kind of jogging his memory, possibly.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Interesting declaration there. Yeah, because the peer's got a planning application. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Those are duly noted. Thank you, members. We now go to the community safety update to receive a report from the police. Helen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I think we'll start with my favourite topic, COVID. So with the easing of restrictions, we've had shops open, we've had pubs or the outside of pubs and cafes open, and generally we've seen it a lot busier. However, saying that, we haven't been made aware, or I haven't seen any real issues in the New Forest. The pubs, yes, have been busy, especially with the nice weather, but we haven't had any public order or any disorder of note. The shops, no issues there. Parts of the forest, especially open spaces, have been a lot busier, but other areas haven't, because those people who went out on their walks can now go into town and to other areas. So it's a bit of a mixed bag whether places are busy or not. When we have had issues in certain areas of the New Forest, not Hythe Dibden, but we have stamped on it very quickly, put dispersal orders in place, which we would do in your area if necessary. But we haven't had any of that. We're still very much engaging with people, as it's a lot harder to enforce. The main things we would enforce now would be, say, house parties, which we had done in Totton, but we're not seeing hardly any of those. We've still got our extra patrols, which we will continue until end of June. So we'll go over that period where everything basically opens up, 21st of June. We've got our COVID ambassadors, and we're doing joint patrols with our rangers. So all in all, regarding COVID, it's not a bad picture, or that's what I'm seeing, that's what my officers are seeing. If it's different for you, then please say. This time of year, we start with our patrols in the rural car parks. So we have Op Coman, which is a seasonal yearly operation with PCSOs, again, rangers, and it's handing out literature and just advising people that when they come to the car parks, please do not leave anything on show or put anything in their boots. So it just reduces, hopefully, the theft from motor vehicles, because you would be surprised how many people park up and leave bags, handbags, phones on the back seat, in footwells, even put them in boots. And these aren't necessarily visitors, these are locals. So we still try and get that message out. We're continuing to have the theft of catalytic converters. I think I said last time, this is a national problem because of the price of metal. So we're targeting a couple of offenders. It is hard work because they are generally cross-border, and the actual theft of the catalytic converters take about under a minute. It's really something that the manufacturer needs to sort out long term. So that does continue. So we do work around there. Our burglaries have greatly reduced. So that's good news, with all the money we spent and extra patrols and forensic strategy with that. This week is known as Op Sector, which you may have heard of before because we have run this across the county. It's an intensification week due to knife crime. So we do a number of different things. We engage with the schools. We visit our habitual knife carriers, which luckily in the forest there aren't that many. We do proactive patrols and stop checks. And we also take a sort of a bin to various places like supermarkets, etc. And it's a knife amnesty. So we say, to people, no questions asked, come and give us your weapon, so to speak. And we do that across the forest, and in particular your area. Antisocial behaviour, the AXOs are still doing a very good job linking in with the PCSOs. There has been an increase in certain areas. Haynes Way has had a rise of youth riding mopeds, and we've had this also in in Jones Lane and Dibden Parish area of Waterman's Lane of motocross and mopeds. It's difficult, this one, because we don't pursue people on motorbikes or mopeds because if they're generally youngsters, and if we cause an accident and a death, so we try and look at it at different angles, get the youth services back engaging. So that is work in progress. So that's the main headlines actually for this month. So if there's any questions from anyone, please go ahead.
Any questions, members? Sean.
I don't know if you can answer this, Inspector. I noticed that in our area we have before complained about speeding, and I noticed that there was a speed cam van parked up. So would you happen to know if you're having a crackdown, or is it just coincidence that we've seen them in our area?
The van does go where we get the intelligence and reports. So I assume that has been fed back because we have certain areas. So we'd have the sort of traffic cops on the more serious, bigger roads, and we get the van out where we can. So I'd like to think it's more than a coincidence, and the reports have gone in and they've picked up on that. So that is good news.
Thank you.
Alex, you're next. You've got a question.
How were the Easter holidays compared to previous years? Bear in mind, obviously, we were still technically coming out of the lockdown. Did we see a rise, drop, or about consistent levels of incidents within the area?
To be quite honest, during the Easter holidays, it wasn't bad at all. So nothing significant. Antisocial behaviour. With antisocial behaviour, this time of year into the summer, it is seasonal and it will increase, no doubt. But, there were little pockets of areas where youths were being, it's difficult because some will call some things antisocial behaviour and other people will call it children being children. So, but there was nothing significant to write home about, and it was quite pleasing actually, because Easter holidays can be notoriously busy, but it wasn't this time.
Okay, any more questions? Well, thank you, Helen. That was very good, and I think it shows that we're in quite a good place at the moment. We haven't got any major problems. part of it may be due to the fact that we're coming out of the lockdown, and it may impact the way people behave. I don't know, but certainly you're in a good place, and thank you to you and your officers for what you continually to do for us. The next item, Helen, I want to hang on just this, members, is the report from our ACSOs, which is on pages 5 and 6, I think. Yes, 5 and 6. Have anybody got any points you want to raise on that while Helen's here? Because some of it does impact to a degree the overall situation. Rebecca, you've got an RTS.
Thank you. Yes, no, I was just going to ask where else we put these reports. Obviously, we're getting a report to each parish council meeting, and they go within the minutes. In case anybody inquires and looks at the website, is there somewhere where they can see everything to do with our ACSOs together and maybe read these reports? I don't know whether that's would be useful or not.
So we haven't got an ACSO or
we don't have. The only place I would say is that they are available as the backing documentation for the meeting papers. So if you look at the meeting papers, they're in the pack basically. I don't know whether council was to consider having a special, tab or area for ACSO reports.
It might be useful that we could have a community safety section, which could tie in with the police as well. That not only could our ACSOs put information on, but there could be links to the police report, because Helen sends around that periodic one that I sent to you all. And having a community safety bit where residents can look and see how well they're being looked after, I think it could be a positive thing. And also, if there's an issue that we want people to be aware about, it could be highlighted on that same section. Perhaps that's something we could look at and have links to the various police social medias. That's a good idea, Helen?
Yes, no, that sounds good, because like you said, that newsletter that we do monthly and I send out to you and you send out to the other stakeholders, that would be good if it was in one place, albeit it is for the whole of the forest. But as we know, criminals cross over, they don't think it's Hythe Dibden, they see it as wherever they can commit crime. So it makes no difference to them. So it would be good that everyone can see what's going on.
Could we look at doing that, Helen, Sue?
Yeah, I'll take that away as an action.
Thank you. Right, Alex, you've got an RTS.
Yes, I mean, I was very pleased with the report, particularly with regards to the multi-agency work that's going on, working with the Handy Trust in particular by the ACSOs and the local community safety partnership team and our colleagues based in Hardley. I wonder, with regards to the incidents regarding catapults and ball bearings impacting on particularly targeting people's properties and cars, if any further work is being done on possibly going into schools or contacting schools or further work on trying to sort of, well, for use of a better phrase, stop this activity within the community and wider, because I have seen several examples where people have been impacted by it, and it is something that needs dealing with. I wonder sort of what Helen can suggest. Bear in mind, obviously, it has been highlighted a couple of times in the ACSO report.
Yeah, with catapults and ball bearings, like you say, it can be very serious on people's property or very harmful on persons. I know people have been injured quite badly with catapults. So we do try and follow up any reports of that from the police, so not just the ACSOs, especially around CCTV or other witnesses. So that sort of damage or possession we take more serious than, say, maybe other low-level antisocial behaviour. And to be quite honest, we don't at the moment really go into schools. We have lost a couple of our PCSOs, however, which is one thing I forgot to mention. So at the moment, I've just got one PCSO for the whole Hythe Hardley area, but we are getting 2 new ones, one that starts in July and another one that starts in September. So then we'll be back up to 3. And so we can look at more engagement with the schools potentially, because it is about educating, there's no doubt. However, like I said, if we catch people, then we send them through our yacht process and try and get them the appropriate support.
Possibly to take that a stage further, we could look at our ACSOs going into schools, or or in tandem with the PCSO, if that's the best way to do it. But a way of educating, and I'm sure we've done it in the past when we had ACSOs, they went into schools. But I think it's quite a good way forward to actually speak to the young people and we liaise with the schools. But perhaps that's something we could look at. I don't know whether it's good for the ACSOs to do it on their own or to do it with PCSOs. Perhaps that's a topic for Sue and Helen to talk about at some stage. The best way forward.
Yeah, it'd probably be good to do a joint when we get our new PCSOs and train that. It would probably be good to do a sort of joint work. And I know the Handley Trust are very good as well, so that we all work together. Because a lot of the youth services with COVID more or less shut down, but the Handley Trust sort of continued and was very impressive. So I think a sort of three-way sort of working relationship would do well in that situation.
Okay, well let's work to when you let us know when you've got your PCSO strength up to what it needs to be, and then contact us and we'll work with the Handley Trust to try and set something like that, because I think that'd be a really positive step forward. Right, members, anything else on community safety? Excellent. Well, Helen, thank you very much as always for attending. Really appreciate it, and yeah, have a good rest of the evening.
Okay, thanks very much, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okie dokie, members. Next one is minutes of the last meeting. Please go to page 7 in your agenda. Oh, good job. I've got a live one. Okay, I will go out a page at a time. Please sing out if there's anything you think is inaccurate. Okay, are you ready? Page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11. Right, can I have is everybody happy that is a true record? Can I have a
I'm happy
proposer
to
and a
state
seconder?
that's a true record.
Seconder to that?
I'm happy to second.
Brilliant, right,
Sorry.
done. Okay, all clear, that's done, excellent. Now, chairman's announcements. Gosh, right, here we go. Now, first of all, I've just printed the wrong one. Sorry, it's the wrong bit of paper. See, this is what happens when you have these meetings at home. Anyway, right, here we go. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is Hythe Ferry. Hythe Ferry has now gone into the right shipyard for essential repairs ahead of the return to service. Through more crowdfunding still needed to reach the target. It's going well with 16,500 so far pledged. And I think Ashley Multimere is going to do a 24-hour walk of the ferry for that. And I think we should certainly pay tribute to that because she's doing a great job raising the money. Also, this council played a significant role in getting the Southampton City Council, NFDC and Hampshire County Council twice, along with the County Councillor, to get some money towards keeping the ferry in being. We are working with Lee Raymond to look on other initiatives to help the ferry. And one of those is Helen's idea to have the book with about the seal, which is a brilliant idea, of which I bought 2 for young Harry and young Aaron. And it's the book costs £6, 5 of it goes to the ferry. And I think that's an excellent idea. And that was one of our officers' idea, working with Simon Chadwick and John Greenwood to make it happen. So we're supporting the ferry on a number of ways. And I think that's a very positive. We're doing a lot to help the ferry, and this council is firmly behind it. On another topic, members, Go Green page on our website is now live and ready to signpost any climate initiatives. I think this is really good because we are committed to a green agenda. We fully support all actions against climate change that are practical for us to do. And this is a way of signposting what we do. We started populating the info tab and would welcome any councillor input if you want to add to it. This is Hampshire Hythe Dibden Parish Council's window on the green world. That phrase comes from Sue. Thank you very much. I think that's really good. That's an excellent way of putting it across. Well, members, that's the chairman's announcements. Now it goes to reports by county and district members. Do we have anything from Councillor McAvoy?
No, we don't.
Well, I have a minute report. Here it is, which I will send Claire afterwards. And it's 3 lines. Whilst the authority continues to run its services for the community politically because of the election and per regulations, there's much to report beyond my campaigning and casework, which I pick up at the doorstep. Thank you, members. And now I go to the district members. So who have we got first? I think I'll start with Councillor Stephanie Osborne. Anything you want to report?
No, nothing tonight, thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Down.
Quiet month this month, nothing, thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to break the commonality here and say that I would like to share something. I've sent something to Claire as well. I was going to say that as all Hythe and Dibden district councillors attended the full meeting of the council, I would leave others to report on the headlines. I'm sure somebody else will pick up on those. But I personally asked at the meeting a question to the portfolio holder for planning, regeneration and infrastructure in relation to the proposed Southern Water desalination plant at Forley. It would be normal for questions to be answered by portfolio holders during the meeting, time permitting. However, the news of the sad passing of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh had only recently been announced, and so questions were withdrawn to be answered later in writing. I've popped in my report the question and the answer received, including the subsequent formal decision from New Forest District Council in relation to the consultation. But crucially, if I just say that the one section which indicates that they have actually officially now opposed this, they say even if desalination was demonstrated to be the most appropriate water supply solution, a site near Forley Waterside located within the New Forest National Park is not an appropriate first choice location. National policy is that major development in a national park should be a last resort only in the demonstrable absence of alternatives, which is not the case here with a range of feasible water supply alternatives identified. There's been a joint meeting with planning officers from the district, the National Park and Southern Water, where officers raised concerns. The council has responded to the consultation. The response identifies a number of significant concerns and confirms that it is not a proposal that this council supports. If Southern Water conclude to pursue this option, significant further work will be required to assess the impact of the proposal. Given the scale of the desalination plant, it is likely that the scheme will be dealt with as a nationally strategic infrastructure project rather than as a planning application. So alongside my report will be a link to their actual full report, but I thought that was useful obviously to update residents on that, because it's obviously such you know, an important application potentially, and there's an awful lot of local feeling about it. The only other thing I wanted to say was obviously it was talking about the end of virtual meetings, that the usual planning committee took place. However, many of the next month's scheduled meetings across the council are being brought forward to before May the 7th so that they can remain virtual while the council completes its arrangements for in-person meetings to recommence. This is quite some challenge, given that normally space is tight in the chamber, often only with standing room available once all councillors have taken their seats. Our group of councillors on the district council has expressed its wish for certain elements of virtual meetings to continue, not least the ability for a much increased number of residents to view the meetings online, but also for people to be able to attend who might not be able to travel to the venue. We always seek to car share as a local group when travelling to Appletree Court for meetings. The enormous reduction in car usage required for councillors across the forest to be present in person at these meetings has been much welcomed. Whilst all decision-making meetings must be held in person from May the 7th, a consultation will gather feedback on experiences of virtual meetings during the pandemic, and we hope that at least some of the beneficial practice will be able to be incorporated around the return to pre-pandemic arrangements. That's my district report. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Alex Wade. Alex, you want to say anything?
I haven't sent anything in because there was nothing that was related to the parish. However, there is an email that councillors have received that I forwarded to the officers advising that the Great British Spring Clean from the 28th of May to the 13th of June 21, information has been shared by New Forest District Council officers to support it. They have now updated their webpage and opened a new request form for litter picking support, and you can find all the information on the link www.newforest.gov. litter picking. The form will allow you to request a delivery of equipment, including litter grabbers, Hythe vests, and waste and recycling sacks, and you can arrange a collection of your waste from an agreed location. Obviously, due to COVID, there are some changes to the way this system operates, and they'll be delivering all litter picking equipment on Wednesdays, and the first bookable date for delivery will be Wednesday, the 26th of May. Further information will be on the website link that I've just mentioned, and I've also asked if the officers could share this on Hythe Dibden Parish's website and on social media if possible. There is a restriction of 30 litter grabbers and 30 Hythe vests per booking that has been suggested by the waste and recycling team. Thank you.
See, that's a really good point. Something we ought to look at doing, at least as individuals, if not as a council.
Absolutely.
Right, Councillor Sandra de la Mare.
Nothing to report, Chairman.
Okay, that was very quiet, that was, but I did understand what you said. Councillor Mark Clark.
Sorry. Mr. Chairman, apart from the fact I assume as the environment spokesman you'll mention about the anointing of the latest chairman, you will indeed. In that case, I'll call it a day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is nothing further to report. Oh, apart, sorry, there was one thing, just slightly adjusted. I have been invited to the first in-person parish council meeting at Fawley as the district councillor, which is the reference to it. We're holding it on the 12th of May at the Jubilee Hall with all the doors open.
Well, I'm quite surprised. Fawley's actually doing. Never mind. What one might be called is the right thing. Right, my report is two things really. We had the April meeting, and this is the first time ever I have spoken against a selection for chairman in 22 years on the council. The candidate was a self-confessed, publicised climate change denier. What message does us selecting a chairman of the New Forest with those views send out to New Forest residents? It shows the Conservatives do not take climate change seriously, or they will not have selected such a person to be an ambassador of an environmentally sensitive area such as the New Forest. And that does affect this parish because we are in the New Forest. And another thing that affects the parish, and this is equally challenging, in addition, they brought out a new risk register. But they failed to include Freedom Leisure going insolvent. They are the new runners of the leisure centres. NFDC have had to NFDC having to take back control of running the leisure centres. It shows a total lack of responsibility and understanding of the challenged economic situation facing the fitness and leisure industry in the post-pandemic world. When I challenged a new leader who displayed his clear lack of business and economic understanding on the post-COVID world, was moved and his lack of understanding in relation to business economics and current financial risks. So both of those really were negatives from the district council. But we are where we are with them, I suppose. Right, now how we go to reports by members and outside bodies. Do we have any?
Yes, I have one, please, Chairman.
Yes, fire away.
That's okay. So my report is from the Hythe Dibden Woodland Group. During the pandemic, many of us discovered paths and areas of woodland across the parish that we may never have encountered had we not been mandated to stay local. Our parish council works tirelessly to keep these areas tidy and well maintained for all residents to enjoy. And throughout the pandemic, Hythe Dibden Woodland Group were also assisting with their role. Indeed, my first meeting with one of the members was when I found him clearing the path of a fallen branch. The group is in great need of new volunteers, and so they have prepared a short summary of their work, which the council will share in a future parish newsletter. Sorry, there's a conversation going on behind me, I do apologise. The website in Hythe Pier, but just in case anyone who reads our posted minutes would like to volunteer sooner than then, I've included the details in my report. So it's just a very brief blurb. It's a call for volunteers to help look after your local environment. Hythe Dibden Woodland Group is a small bunch of volunteers who meet on the first Sunday each month at 10 AM to improve the local area. Members carry out various tasks in the couple of hours they get together, which include litter picking, cutting back the vegetation along the pathways to ensure the way is kept open, small repairs to wooden bridges, and making bird boxes. There are now over 40 bird boxes in Tateswood, Lower Butsash Wood and Shaw Road, which give birds a cosy place to raise their young. An owl box has been sighted in Tateswood, but only stock doves have nested in it so far. As with most volunteer groups, new people are always welcome, and if you would like to join the group, please get in contact. The group is insured and supply tools to carry out the small tasks. And there's an email address here, which will obviously appear on the report in the minutes. And in a later update, actually today, I also received the group's 2020 bird ringing report. And it really is a joy to read. I'd encourage all councillors and everybody to follow the link in the minutes as well. An enormous amount of work and dedication goes into the creation of this report. And there's some fascinating statistics about bird life in our parish. So really, it's a fantastic document. So I'd just like to assist in everything I can do to help with their recruitment and enable more residents to hear about what they're doing, because I must admit, before I became a parish councillor, I didn't know all the work they were doing, and it's amazing. So I think we really need to showcase it so that everybody can see what's going on, and I'm sure there'll be lots of people who would like to take part as well. So thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, then we move swiftly on to questions. It used to be questions under standing orders, but it's called questions now. Take brief questions, councillors. Right, members, floor is yours. Who's got any questions? Councillor Osborne.
I've got a couple of questions. Is a question to the chairman at this point?
Well, it's questions to chairman or councillors.
Okay. Chairman, are you aware? A local resident asked me about what is happening about the sea defences in Prospect Place. They read a political pamphlet which they described to me as utter garbage. Can you provide me with a response to that, please?
Okay, well, the council has put in place repairs to a section of the sea wall and Prospect Place, and it's engaging with other agencies for a longer term solution to the seawall issues. Something of this nature requires careful and appropriate planning. Now, I've seen that article and it talks about sandbags. Now, sandbags were provided on the request of local residents themselves as a short-term fix, or should there be any flooding in the meantime. Obviously, the pandemic has delayed many local government projects all over the country. However, unlike other authorities, this is Liberal Democrat Council has continued working on the projects despite the lockdown challenges, including this one. Now, Councillor Dowd, who's been sort of leading on some of this, could you give a little update of the current situation, please?
I'd be happy to, Chairman. In our parish council meeting in March, I referred briefly to the meeting that the Deputy Clerk and I had with NFDC officers Claire Upton Brown and Steve Cook to explore flood mitigation options and funding. I'm happy to expand on those brief comments for the benefit of our residents who may not be aware of how protracted these negotiations tend to be. I've been in communication with the District Council after first asking what their role is in flood defence as the Flood Defence Authority. My first question was asked in District Council meeting on the 7th of September 2020. I have read through their strategy documents to determine if we qualify for assistance. After further contact, the meeting referred to earlier was arranged. It was agreed in that meeting that we could then progress to an initial meeting with the Environment Agency. The District Council acts as a gatekeeper. We cannot make contact directly. This meeting is scheduled for this May. The Parish Council has been proactive in drawing up plans to make essential repairs within our limited budget, which we can progress with if funding is not forthcoming. But to fund a full maintenance project, it's beyond the scope of the Parish Council. That's what the Environment Agency is for, funded by the taxpayer. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, I hope that satisfies you, Councillor Osborne. What's your second question?
Thank you. It's probably to include Alex and Melody, that we keep on being asked about capers. I just want the public to know that what I was informed as the councillor for Dibden Parish, that the planning permission and everything has actually been granted. And we just want to know if we can do anything else about the situation of the place being used for dumping rubbish, etc.
Right. Somebody, a contractor, dumped rubbish on that site. I know that because I dealt with that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've found that out, and it's still there. I think it's the pandemic's deal. I mean, Alex might want to jump in and know more than me. I think the pandemic has delayed the new owner getting capers back online. Not the restaurant, the building.
Know that it was supposed to have all been given a go ahead in May. I do have another question, I'm afraid. So,
go on.
If Alex wants to answer.
Do you want to answer that, Alex, about capers?
My understanding is that all the planning regulations and changes of terms have been agreed. From a planning authority perspective, I believe the go-ahead is there, but obviously that the new person who wishes to move in and make the changes obviously might well have been delayed due to the pandemic, and I think it's obviously with their up to them now. My understanding is that they have a business or are elsewhere involved within the parish, so I don't want to speak on their behalf, but from a planning perspective, I don't believe there are any further issues, but as I say, it's down for the reasons that we're all impacted, why probably work hasn't begun yet. As for anything that's on the site, I would suggest that if it's not done already, we ask the NFDC and or the county to get that removed.
Well, it won't be the county because rubbish removals NFDC. Okay, what's your next question? You're muted.
My next question again, of course, is Dibden Parish. Are you aware the public do not know about the work we've done to make changes to the parking outside Coppice Gate retirement flats in Beaulieu Road, Dibden Parish? We, as soon as we were elected, Councillor Wade and myself applied for help with the problem after the residents moving in had found it dangerous to try and exit their driveway. Traffic flow and the ease of buses and large vehicles is hampered and forces some of them to mount the footpath. It's hard to cross the road with clear vision on foot, and especially with a buggy or wheelchair. We seem to be getting criticism over not getting something done about this. I wonder if we can just publicise at the meeting the things we have tried, and can you, Chairman, request with the answers of what we've done?
Okay, well, I can answer that, I suppose. There's been a lot of work to try and do it with NFDC, with Hampshire County Council. NFDC originally were going to put yellow lines, going back now 8 years, not 8 years, probably 6 years, 6 years along there. Got it arranged, and then the inner workings at NFDC, because they were in charge of on-road parking, changed, and he wouldn't do it. The county wouldn't put yellow lines in there because it's against county policy to have yellow lines outside the entrance to an establishment, which is what Coppice Gate is. It has been a long-running war of attrition. However, and we've taken pictures of it, we've been to the press, we've shown how dangerous it is. There's been a lot of campaigning to try and get something done. However, there is one more, it's never say never, one more route to go down. There's been a step change, members, as you're all aware. NFDC is no longer responsible for on-street parking. It is now the responsibility of the county council. And while as the county council highways did not provide me with an adequate solution to deal with it, I am now gone to a county council on-street parking department, and they are now going to investigate this because they are a pretty efficient outfit, and I will hopefully they may come up with a solution that may resolve it. They might not, of course, which will be consistent with attempts so far, but they might. So you know, let's hope springs eternal. Let's see what can transpire with that. Is that okay, Councillor Osborne? Steph?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, it's just people are asking who are they, because all through lockdown the parking was permanent, and it just seemed they're just wondering who is it that's struggling to park and why would they permanently park on that road. So yeah, if that could be found out, I don't think a lot of people want.
Well, I'm making inquiries
because it would drive it round the corner. Thank you, though.
Okay. Well, are there any more questions, members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I've got Alan first, then you, good self. Alan.
Thank you, Chairman. Is the Chairman aware? A local resident asked me about the ACSO delay resulting in costing £10,000 in accreditation and training that they'd seen in a pamphlet. Can you explain, please?
Yes. What the last dominated council by I believe the Conservatives engineered the removal of the previous ACSOs. The council would then automatically have to pay for training and accreditation for new officers. This is quite important. It was down to them, the previous council. There was a request to the police for PCSOs, but they were not recruiting any at the time, and therefore the old council kept collecting the money and using it on other things. Our Liberal Democrat council not only brought back the ACSO service as promised, but ring-fenced the funding for community safety use only. I recall that you, Councillor Fairhead, proposed that yourself, and you would expect the authors of the pamphlet, probably an ex-councillor who was there at the time, to know better, because they were the arbitrators of that problem in the first place. Okay, is that happy with that?
Yes, Chairman. So what you're saying is that the money was ring-fenced. The money that we've got for the ACSOs has been rightly used, paying for their training and accreditation.
Yeah, once the old ones are gone, any new ones had to be trained and accredited. So once they got rid of them, we had no choice but to do that.
And we used that money that was ring-fenced for that purpose.
That's correct. Okay, Councillor Mark Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder whether the Chairman is aware about the ongoing issues on my favourite development, which is the Hythe development up at Forest Lodge Farm. At the recent District Council meeting, you may have seen an answer back from, which was a bit of a non-answer, about discussions ongoing about the open space. They seem to have effectively dropped the word public open space, but and I'll perhaps look to Alex about this as well. On the original planning application several years ago, there was a public open space, and I assume as a result of that there will need to be another application for an open space somewhere else. But at the moment there seems to be just a very steep, rather dangerous incline for youngsters down to the wooded area at the bottom. And I just wonder, I'm not getting any answers, whether we as an authority could write to the planning department and ask for a specific idea of what they're planning there.
Right. Well, let me. As they sit on NFDC planning, let me add a little bit to that. And first of all, this council rightly has not accepted responsibility for the play area because it's in the wrong place. It's the incline makes it totally the wrong location. So there is a play area in the planning permission for the whole site. Now that means that someone's got to run it, either or maintain it, either NFDC, but they're not going to do it. So my understanding, and Alex can correct me if I'm wrong, unless he knows better, is that Vivid Maintenance are going to inspect the play area and maintain it, because they have to put one in because of the part of the planning application. So I can't really answer any more to that. I don't think because we are not accepting responsibility, and perhaps Sue can advise us on this, we're not therefore in a position necessary to write to NFDC in the manner that you've suggested. Is that right, Sue? You're muted.
Yeah, that's correct. As I understand it, we've only agreed to look at the possibility of taking on the allotment side,
yes.
But even that is not up to a standard that we find acceptable.
Is it not fair, though, that we're accepting residents coming into that particular area? We should be too sort of narrow-minded about it. And yes, I completely accept that we're not taking it, but there is a safety issue there. Can we not just at least find out what the NFD plans are for that as a local authority, which will take a precept from the people that live there? We have a duty, responsibility to them, at least.
Are we able to write with concerns over the location, Sue?
I think we can investigate and see what status they're at in terms of what is happening at the planning authority at planning officer level. And I think Sean's got a very good contact there. But whether they'll actually tell us what the situation is, because it's between the planning authority and the developer, basically, we're not party to those conversations.
Yeah, agreed. I just want to add into the fact that we've obviously been recently up there talking to local residents, and of course their concern has been expressed about what's occurring with it. Why is it so steep? They're concerned about the safety of children.
Mark, you got some feedback. It sounded like you were speaking in an auditorium at that point. Right, okay, well, we can see what we can do. Right, I've got an RTS from Alex and Rebecca.
Is the chairman aware that we are still undertaking the Hythe Dibden Community Spirit Awards and Environmental Awards? And could all councillors, where possible, promote this and even nominate themselves? I thank those who've already done so. We currently have 17 nominations, 15 for the Community Spirit Award and 2 for the Environmental Award, which is a significant improvement on previous years. I mean, it's been quite an extraordinary 12 to 18 months, hasn't it? So there are lots of deserving people. So if, as a collective, we can keep promoting it and keep pushing these awards, because there are, I'm sure, dozens and dozens of deserving people who could be nominated for either award or both. There are a lot of incredible heroes from the past 18 months, but I just wanted to remind the council and councillors that these awards and nominees are still ongoing. Thank you.
Well done, Alex. That's a very good point. If we need to publicise this and ensure that we get as many entries for this as we can, because a lot of people do deserve recognition. Councillor Rebecca Clark, you're next.
Thank you, Chairman. It was just following up on the previous item, just to maybe suggest it as the district ward councillor, Councillor Clark could inquire and ask that question in that capacity, and then report back in his district report, maybe at a future meeting to us. That would be another way of sort of asking the question and reporting back to the local community.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we could do that. I mean, there might. Parish councils are generally responsible for play areas. If not a parish, sometimes district councillors run them. So there is a moral responsibility that we have. So if Mark can inquire through with his district route, and Sue can look at a way that we can inquire through the parish route, 2 people asking the question are arguably better than 1. It raises it raises importance of it, I think. Okay, so it's both solutions are good. Okay, well, any more? Or are we done with that? Okay, we now move to item 11. Alex, to receive the delegated decisions of the planning committee. The floor is yours. Page
yep.
19.
Okay. So from page 13 onwards, thank you very much for councillors for your comments. It was a very long list of planning applications this month, and I thank you for all your comments. Councillor Malcolm Wade did not comment as a member of NFDC Planning Committee, so he did not comment on any application, and Councillor Simon Lodge declared an interest in application 21-10402 as he lives in the same road and did not comment. We'll go page by page, and if you have any challenges or you wish to clarify anything, then please let me know. Okay, page 13, page 14, page 15, page 16, and page 17. Do we all agree that they are a fair reflection of the comments shared by the Planning Committee?
Happy to approve, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I would also like to thank Claire and Sean, particularly Claire, for ensuring that these minutes and the comments went straight through to NFDC very quickly from the deadline that was set, and it is much appreciated. And thank you again to all my councillors for your thoughtful comments and feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'd like to call on Councillor Osborne to receive and present the minutes of the Climate Emergency Committee held on the 23rd of March 2021 and agrees to recommendations. And I believe there might be an amendment to recommendation A.
There is, Chairman. Yes, I've been speaking with our clerk today, who's been absolutely amazing at taking on this job when Marcus is out of action. And I'd like her to actually, if she's ready, to explain the recommendation 195/20A that we need to, explain to the public that will be corrected.
Hi there. Yep, I can definitely explain this. When the Climate Committee discussed it, the idea was that in order to have a good base date for starting the carbon footprint calculation, it was a good idea to have a full year of accurate data, which was not including any COVID anomalies. I went back to True Horizon, who we're using to calculate the carbon footprint, and clarified exactly what information she would want to see and when we could start that from in order to get a full year. And she said that rather than us getting a year and then starting, what we need to do is establish a start date and then not have preceding data but start from that date. So in order to have a full year, which is not including COVID, you would actually need to start in May 2018 and not May 2019. And because if you start in 19, you're going to have about 6 weeks probably of the COVID effect, which is sort of April and the end of March. So I'd suggest that you actually start in May 18. It's not a problem administrationally, because we can find the data, in our invoices and office systems anyway. But in order to have a full accurate picture of costings and footprint, I'd suggest starting at May 18 and not 19.
If we can make a note of that, that's what's going to be in the recommendations, I hope you'll all agree with.
Okay, yeah.
The second recommendation was the council sets a target to be carbon neutral by the end of 2030. But if I just go through for the minutes to be approved other than those two recommendations, is that all right?
Yep.
Thank you. So I've got them as page 85, page 86 and page 87. Can I have someone to approve those, please?
I've got one question on this. I actually thought we agreed there and then we were going to do it May 2018, but I was under the impression that's what we were going to do, and I thought the 19 was a typo, but clearly.
Yeah, it is in my written minutes that we said the year before May 19, but somehow it's got interpreted late, and I believe Marcus referred to the year 1819, May 19. So that's how the misunderstandings occurred. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, I'll propose that they're a true record then. So you need a seconder.
Happy to second, Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I ask for the recommendations to be approved then, that the council to calculate the date of the current carbon footprint from May 2018.
So everybody agree?
Agree.
Agreed.
Agreed. Agreed.
And that the council takes a target to be carbon neutral by the end of 2030.
Agreed.
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 Can I thank my committee for all their enthusiasm and hard work, especially over this last month with researching and looking into the projects that we're looking at. Today, a letter has gone, as in the minutes 196/20, to the supermarkets, which the clerk and Claire worked very hard to do and get out on time. Thank you. We've also put some stuff on the Go Green site today too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, 2030 members is ahead of the government. So where we go, they're following, right? And this is exactly the right thing to do. Thank you very much. Okay, now we move to item 12, which is the annual parish assembly, to receive the minutes of the annual parish meeting held on the 7th of April. And they are on page 23, and it's page 23 only. So I think you're all there. Everybody happy that's a true record?
Happy to approve, Chairman.
Yeah, good. I think everybody's nodding, so that's that one. Okay, we now move on to item 13, which is governance. Now, Sue, would you like to take a bit of a lead on this bit? So lead us in, starting on page 25 in the notes, members.
Yeah, you've all seen the terms of reference document, basically, which is a draft. Looking at the standing orders, I think most of your terms of reference for committees actually is included at the end of your standing orders. So normally in May, you'd actually approve your standing orders each year as your governing document. So you mentioned to me that you actually wanted to see a change going back to a committee structure, which you apparently used to have here, rather than lots of working groups. So what I've done is actually drafted the terms of reference document, which has all of the committees in it and actually restructures it along the lines of the previous committees that you had. You've all had the document, so I won't go through it in detail. But I just wonder whether there's any comments that you had on that terms of reference committee document, really.
Members, any comments? Is everybody happy? Oh, Sandra's got an RTS.
Yeah, yeah. I thought we were talking about it. It says there, after next year, the council meetings will be 6 weekly rather than monthly. I thought we were still talking about doing the monthly. That was all.
Right. Well, the first thing to bear in mind is that we're setting this structure up, and we're still going to have to apply to council for recommending the spending of the money. Right? They won't have their individual budgets till 2022. Yeah. Sue, would you like to answer the nub of Sandra's question there?
Yeah, the reason why this is basically a trial run into having the full committee system, if you like to see it that way. Normally, a committee would have full delegated powers, but because the budgets associated with committees cannot be fully implemented until April next year, the committees cannot approve their own spending at the moment. So this is kind of a trial running system to get the committee system up and running, but acknowledging that this year until next April, that the spend decisions would have to revert back to the main council to be authorised, because those the delegated authority to spend and approve its decisions is not yet in place for those committees. That's basically what it is.
I think the other point was about the six weekly cycle for council meetings instead of monthly.
I get the bit about referring back to council, but I thought we said we were still going to keep a monthly council
I think
meeting.
that probably kind of goes nicely into one of the other items on this agenda, which is the resources required to have more frequent meetings, because I think the one thing that the minute clerk here highlighted when we're discussing this a week or two ago was the fact that it's a full-time job to be constantly doing agendas, minutes, backing documents, agendas, minutes, backing documents. And basically, it's going to be every week, there's going to be an agenda being produced. If you look in the back of the terms of reference document, there are how many meetings? I don't know, is it 46 meetings a year, something like that? So that's quite a lot of meetings. If you want, I think you have to think this through and think, what are councils, once you've got the delegated authority to spend, what are councils going to decide? Because a lot of this ought to be decided at the committees. You know, so you almost need a run-in of the system in the next 6 to 10 months to understand what is actually going to be discussed at each committee and see what needs to go back to the main council as to whether you need a monthly council or a 6 weekly council. It might be that you want a council every 8 weeks. You know, you kind of need to go with the flow a little bit and see what happens.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Is that a nice waffly answer for you? Sorry.
Well,
it's quite clear.
Let me put it in more of a business term. Right? We are in fact going back to the future, because this is how the council used to operate in the past. But we've got monthly council meetings this year, coming year, and we've got the committee structure, and we're going to see how the two things blend in together. And it might well be that you see, well, as we're meeting nearly every week anyway, and the public have access to these committee meetings, do we necessarily need to have 12 council meetings a year? It might be you think you still do, but it might be that you see that partly because of resources and partly then that you don't. So we're basically, this is the time that we ask, I think we should have a proper vote on this, because this is quite a significant change to how we operate, although we have operated this way in the past. And some members on this council will remember that's how we operated on the past. At least 4 of you do, right? So you know, this isn't totally new to everybody. So the first recommendation is committee structure, to consider implementation of the Hythe Dibden Parish Council committee structure from May 2021 and adopt the terms of reference document. And NB, delegated authority to spend will be the committees from April 22, except for the climate committee, which already has its own budget, I believe. Right, okay, can I have a proposer for this, please?
Well, Councillor Malcolm Wade, I had an RTS.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex, go on. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay, so can I clarify then that we are voting today on moving to 6 weekly full council meetings from next year, or not? As in April 22, I believe.
Right, well, we are voting, and Sue will correct me if I'm wrong on this, that we're moving to the implementation of the committee structure. Okay, now the appendix A, that line that I know you've got structure monthly currently, 6 weekly from April 2022. Is that in tablet? That's not what they're voting for in tablets of stone at the moment, is it, Sue?
What you're voting for at the moment is changing to the committee structure, and you will have council meetings every month as you do at the moment.
Yes.
I suggest that you kind of go with the flow and see how it goes, because you're going to have to look at and approve this system anyway, again, at the end of the financial year, looking at it. I think you need to give feedback at that time as to how it's going. You know, I think you need to develop things as you go along to best suit you, really.
Okay, can I come back in onto that then, please? Firstly, one thing that I very much welcome of this is I think it'll put in the public domain and accessible a lot of the amazing hard work we do on working groups. 1, and it'll make it a more accessible time to have those meetings. 2, one thing this council has, and not just this council, but previous iterations, it's reverted to working groups when actually that just adds to the workload of our staff and our officers, and at all sorts of times, and trying to find willing volunteers at the right time to get them all together and around the officers' busy workload. So actually, I think that's where it's a massive positive to have committees. I have concerns about whether you have council meetings every monthly or 6 weekly, and I'm willing to look at that, review that. I know how Totton, Marchwood and Fawley work, for example, which are our 3 neighbour councils on committee system, and council tends to be about every 6 weeks or so, sometimes more. But that's what I'm willing to review as the process goes on. But I do support the idea of a committee system to make them very busy meetings and engaged meetings, and also to reduce the working groups, which from a slightly selfish reason often meet in the daytime. And I think it will be better and more accessible for this council to have more impactful committee meetings that meet in the evening. So I will be personally voting for this. Thank you.
Rebecca, you've got an RTS.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I was sort of thinking sort of slightly longer term, just because obviously it's quite a significant change to change from committees to our current situation and then change back to committees. So when we come to review, as we review, I think it's really important that we create something at the end of that process to document that we've sort of benchmarked against best practice. We need to put lots of evidence in, because the worst thing that could happen at that time is that we'll have elections, there'll be a change of administration, and then somebody will suggest that it goes back again, which would be a nightmare for everybody. I think we really need to be in a position at the end of this trial to be able to demonstrate without a shadow of a doubt what is the most effective way to work, because it's not good for the council, it's not good for the work of the council, it's not good for the residents, it's not good for residents' good use of tax paying money to be chopping and changing. So I think we need to just, when we do make a decision finally, we need to really explain it in the hope that future, whoever is elected, can use the benefit of the experience that we'll get through the trial process. I'm just concerned about, chopping and changing is tricky, isn't it? And we just want to make sure that doesn't happen. We need stability for everybody.
Well, there's a good counter argument to that. Change is not to be frightened of. Change is good, right? Only if the change is merited. Change for the sake of change is not good, but change merited. And the reason, and Alex made some very valid points. There's two reasons why we can go down this route. The most important is we can work more effectively for the people of Hythe and Dibden. That's the number one priority for everything we do, is to give the best possible service for the people of Hythe and Dibden. Number two, and this is very interconnected to that, our officers have got a humongous amount of working groups and other spin-offs that are not council meetings that they have to work on, and it's a draw on their time, and perhaps they're not working as effectively for the people of Hythe and Dibden because they're doing all these different working groups. By combining to a smaller number of committees, not only do we get greater public access, as I think Alex mentioned earlier, to what we're doing, we have less gatherings, but they're more effective because they're targeted on specific things. And I think Sue's done an excellent job in looking at the roles of general purpose and finance, amenities, personnel, and so forth. And it's a really good way for everybody to contribute in a really more effective way than we've done in the past. So there are the pluses of this are significant. Okay. Mark, and Mark's going to be the final word, then we're going to move on because we've got two more recommendations after this.
Can I just ask one particular element of it, Mr. Chairman, is simply that obviously we all recognise that in the future other people will come and take their seats around the council table. Hopefully younger element will join us as well. And my concern is just simply, at the moment, a lot of our meetings, most of our meetings are scheduled in the evenings, which is not good. I mean, I have a full-time job. Will the new committee structure assist that, particularly encouraging and making sure that it doesn't impinge on officer time? I'm just thinking, when perhaps we might have a preponderance of people that sit around the table who do have full-time jobs after the pandemic is a forgotten part of history, and that this structure still works for them too.
Well, I'm going to answer that. When I first joined the council, which was a long time ago, and I worked as a job as well. I've worked most of the time, been on the council actually. Most of the meetings were in the evening for that very reason, because most of the councillors were workers, and we should never have a council that prevents all working people from joining it, because it's got to be available to everybody. You know, everybody can come to an evening meeting. So yeah, that is an important part of it. Now I've got Matt, but Alex has pointed out that Alan had an RTS, but went to him. Alan, did you want to add to this?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. What I'm looking at, if we go to this new system, which is an old system we're bringing back, and you're saying, and we're saying that Claire's got a lot to do with the system we got, will this not impose even more work onto her if she's doing all these different committees instead of just one? You know, I just can't see where the saving is from the officer's point of view.
Okay, well, the saving is the number of committees, the number of meetings we have, and Sue, correct me if I'm wrong, is somewhere over 50 in a year. This brings the overall number down. Okay. Right. Now, the next item is to talk about a personnel committee to review the resources required for this. Okay, so that's going to be looked at independently, as it should be. Okay, because there's always more than one way to skin a cat. But if you pardon the expression, right? But Alex doesn't like me using that expression. But no, but we're going to look at it realistically because we need to review the resource situation. Right, I've got Matt Kitcher. Hello, Matt.
No, sorry, I was just telling you that Alan RTS came through to me and not yourself.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was Alex. Okay, thank you. Right, okay, now let's move on this, members. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for this recommendation?
I will propose that we move to trialling and reviewing the committee system and start the process, obviously allowing for the budgets and financial decisions to come through full council for the next year and review the process in a year's time. So yes, I propose this.
And I'll second that happily.
Okay. All right, members. Okay, I'm going to call you out. For or against? Councillor Mark Clark.
For, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
For.
Councillor Sean Cullen.
For, Mr.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
For.
Councillor Alan Fairhead.
For.
Councillor Matthew Kitcher.
Abstain.
Councillor Simon Lodge.
For.
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Abstain.
Councillor Melody Roberts.
Abstain.
Councillor Alex Wade.
For.
And I'm for as well. Right. One point to members that probably we didn't make earlier, and I'll just make it now. Because we're going to committee system, doesn't mean you'll be attending necessarily more meetings than you are at the moment. Okay, it's all of these committees are voluntary, as the working groups are, so that those of you that may be on two things will be only necessarily be on two things in the future, right? So I don't really think you'll be overburdened any more than anyone else. Right, the next one is resources. To task the personnel subcommittee to consider extra specific resources. It's to review the resources required to do this, really, and report back to the May 21 council meeting. Okay, right, so can I have a second and a proposer for this? Oh, Sue wants to add something, sorry.
In the light of the announcement this afternoon, I'm not sure whether that time period will work now, because I can't see that committee being able to meet in the next 4 weeks, by which time we would need to implement a post to cover this.
Well, can I can I make an amendment to task the personnel subcommittee to consider this at a time as soon as possible? Will that not do?
Okay, then I can't guarantee that the committee structure can be up and running as soon as you want it to be.
How do we get round this then?
I suggest you get around it by delegating to the props officer to still have the meeting, the human resource personnel meeting, but make it a working group and then delegate what you want to do to an officer, i.e. me, and then I can undertake what you wish to do, and then you can ratify it at the next possible council meeting.
Right. Okay. The problem that I'll be totally upfront with that is that's probably going against our standing orders. isn't it?
The way I would counteract that is the announcement come out today on the High Court ruling. Everything is going against standing orders at the moment.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to lawfully meet at the moment after the 6th of May.
Well, that's we're getting caught into two different discussions here.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. I'm only giving you the best advice in the
I know.
in the face of the latest guidance.
What do you want to do, members?
I have an RTS, Malcolm.
Sorry, go on then.
From what Sue has advised, that the decision will still be made by councillors within that working group. So we're not making a decision today, but we are finding a way of councillors having the discussion and then effectively asking the officer to take the wishes of the council forward, whatever they may be. I'm not on the personnel subcommittee, so I don't know what that would be, but that's what I get the impression that Sue is suggesting, and if so, that seems probably the most pragmatic way forward. Is that safe to say, Sue?
That's correct. I'm just trying to find a way of allowing you to do what you want to do, given the difficult parameters legally we've got at the moment.
Thank you.
Philip.
Yes, I would say that it's not an ideal situation, and we have got to be, in Alex's word, pragmatic about this. And if we want this to happen, that really is about the only way we can get this in a way that is meaningful with the current restrictions.
Right. Okay. Rebecca.
So I can understand the urgency to fix the resource issue, and bearing in mind that we're talking about reverting to a system that existed previously. Can someone explain why we need additional resource to reintroduce it on top of what we had when we had it previously? That would help to sort of understand the necessity to further this quickly.
That is a discussion that you have in the personnel subcommittee or working group, if that's what you wish to go down, really. That rather than to debate that now, we need to discuss that in the right forum. Yeah, I am very reticent to encourage changing the standing orders like this, because there may be other ways around this. However, if it is the wish of the members of the council to be pragmatic, we could ask someone to propose a change in standing orders for this one instance to be looked at, and delegate in this particular instance to be delegated to the clerk and a working group to look at. But I want to make it clear that is for this one instance only, and it will have to go back to council, because one thing that's very important, members, regardless of whatever else, we must protect our democratic law and the way we do it and our standing orders. We have a right, we are the guardians of that on behalf of the people of Hythe and Dibden. So could I have a form of words, Sue, then, that will allow us to look at this as an isolated incident, please?
So basically the proposal is to delegate authority to the proper officer, who is the clerk, to work with the staffing or personnel committee, who are actually going to operate as a working group, because they won't have the legal authority in the next 6 weeks to meet. And basically the clerk will undertake whatever the wish of that committee, aka working group, is in terms of just delivering on this one committee structure angle, i.e. the resource angle.
Okay,
I can probably put it in a better better words.
Right. This is quite significant, right? Especially when other councils are doing things differently. But you've said one thing that I've got to have to challenge, and you're going to have to help me out with this. You said that we are not legally able to meet, but we are. We are legally able to meet. Also, because the personnel subcommittee, well, it depends, 9 people on it, isn't there? There is the conflict between the rule of 6 and what the government has said. But okay, if you think it's defendable, we'll go with that on this instance. Let's go with it. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for that, please?
Malcolm, I'm happy to propose this. I will say that, as I say, because people can meet, it's about the safety and of the councillors and the officers and what is right to do, not necessarily based on today's ruling what the government have suggested, and we have to take that into consideration. I propose that we halt or pause standing orders for this one example of allowing the personnel subcommittee members to meet as a working group alongside the appropriate officer to discuss possible staffing requirements to the committee system and to bring a decision to be ratified by full council when we next meet, I believe, at the appropriate time at the end of June. Is that sort of the correct term?
Well, when the council next meet, I think is a better thing to say.
Is that okay, Sue?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
I think I agree with both of you. I think that's fine. We will have to put into action anything which is decided then. So if it's decided to get another resource staffing wise, an advertisement needs to go out. So that's why we're on a strict time frame in order to meet the new committee structure system really.
Have a second to that, please. Who's going to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Well, we're going to vote on this one as well. We're going to vote on all 3 of these. Right. Councillor
Malcolm, let Rebecca come in first. She has an RTS.
So I thought she'd already spoken. My apologies.
I do apologize. Just another, obviously, regarding personnel, there are a number of, they're normally quite, can the meeting be held outside in some way? I mean, that's what the district council is considering, undercover, so that you don't have the rule of 6. They're talking about getting enormous canopies up so that we can meet and have planning committees, etc. I mean, we could physically meet if it was necessary. I just it's difficult. We've been put in a very difficult situation, but as you say, the integrity of our decision making is having our standing orders, which is, can we consider maybe having an outside meeting somehow? Or is that too difficult to arrange?
You've talked, can I just before, you talking about this specific meeting or more generalised?
Well, no, the one if we need the council to ratify a decision in time, and we need to meet as a council, we can't do that inside at the moment, can we? Or any meetings
let's not get. We're going off tangent here. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Well,
we've just got to talk about the personnel group on this item.
Well, could they meet outside then? Well, I've just asked the question. That's all. So that the meetings that need to take place can take place.
Could we hire a tarpaulin? Not tarpaulin. Sorry, some large tented structure to meet outside soon.
Personally, I don't see that as feasible. It could be pouring with rain. It could be freezing. We have to take all the tables and chairs outside and meet in the garden with a massive canopy. If it's formally a committee meeting, then you need to allow the public in as well.
Not personnel.
No, you don't. So if you're meeting outside, how do you stop them listening? You're in an open space.
Okay. It was just a question, just because I know that the district is considering those sorts of things.
All right. Well, let's deal with this one instant now. All right. We've had a proposer and a seconder. Right. Councillor Mark Clark, for, against, or abstain?
For, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
I'll abstain at the moment. Thank you.
Councillor Sean Cullen.
For.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Alan Fairhead.
Abstain, Chairman.
Councillor Matthew Kitcher.
I'll abstain as well, please.
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Abstain, Chairman.
What was that? Sorry.
Abstain, please.
Yeah. Councillor Melody Roberts.
Abstain.
You abstaining as well. Councillor Alex Wade.
4.
And I am actually going to abstain on this one as well because.
Me, Mal.
Simon Lodge. Sorry. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'll for it.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that's carried. Okay. So we will move on that one. Now, members, we come to the third one, which is a dispensation procedure to approve document to be used for council's granting of dispensation requests. Sue, would you like to lead on this one, please?
Yes, it's very simple. Basically, it was just establishing. You already have it basically in standing orders, but it was establishing a template basically for applying for dispensations, and with some controversial items that might come up from time to time on the agenda. I think it's basically protecting councillors going forward and makes it clearer the dispensation procedure to be followed.
And this is particularly relevant to multi-hatted councillors. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Happy to propose, Chairman.
Seconder, please.
Happy to second, Chairman.
Okay, right, we'll go through again. Councillor Clark, Mark Clark.
4, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
4.
Councillor Sean Cullen.
4, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Alan Fairhead.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Matthew Kitcher.
I'll abstain again.
Okay, Councillor Simon Lodge.
4.
Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Melody Roberts.
4.
Councillor Alex Wade.
4.
And I, Malcolm Wade, is also 4. That is carried. Okay, well, our members, that was a good debate. Now we move on to item 14, grants, the Grants Working Party. Who's going to lead? Are you going to lead on this, Alex?
I am not a member of the Grants Working Party,
no,
so I will not.
No, sorry, that was the other one you were a member, wasn't it? Right, okay, who's going to lead on the Grants Working Party?
I think it was Philip, actually. Was it Philip and Sean?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm still muted at the time. Yes, I'm happy to lead on this one.
Good.
We've had an application from the Hythe Peer Heritage Association, and they do great work on a landmark in our village, and so I would like to propose that we accept their grant application.
I'd like to second that, Philip.
Okay, let's have a vote on this one as well. Okay, 4 against. Councillor Mark Clark.
4,
Sorry,
Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, can I just come in and ask a quick question?
Go on.
Because it says there's a suggested grant here, and what they've asked for appears to be different in numbers. Unless I'm much mistaken, they have said how much funding are you applying for? They've said £5,000, and we've proposed 1,000, which is fine, and I completely think that's sensible coming from the parish council, and I support that. But can I clarify that is the case, that we are offering a different amount to the grant that they originally requested? Could an officer confirm that, please?
That's what I understand, Alex. Yes.
Thank you, Sue.
Chairman, can I jump in there? Alex, if they'd asked for 5 million, we haven't got it anyway. So we can only give what we can.
To be fair, it's we have to clarify, because when you say if we're going to say we accept it, so if anyone watching knows that the actual figures that have been proposed and agreed, and it is and a lot of people do apply for more than they'll get. But I just wanted to clarify that point. Thank you.
Okay, if I can just cut in there, thank you. We were happy to agree 1,000, and the understanding is that they are applying to a number of granting organisations, and we felt that showing our support would help them securing other funding. So we felt that was the right thing to do.
Very clear.
Thank you, Philip. I completely agree.
Okay, are we okay to vote on this?
Malcolm?
Yes.
Malcolm?
Yes.
Should I declare an interest in this as I'm on the board of the Hythe Peer Association?
Yes, you should. Can you note that interest?
Therefore, I shouldn't vote on this one.
Neither you or Alan can vote on this.
I think you both declared an interest at the beginning of the meeting, didn't you?
Yes,
we did. Yeah.
But it's just reminded it for Claire's benefit. Well done, Councillor Lodge. There you go. Okay, members. Right, here we go. Councillor Mark Clark.
4, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Rebecca Clark.
4.
Councillor Sandra Delamere.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Philip Dowd.
4.
Councillor Alan Fairhead. Oh, no, you can't vote. Councillor Matthew Kitcher.
Chairman, I'm sorry, I want to vote for, but I can't because I didn't hear the discussion, so I'm going to have to abstain.
Oh, okay. Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Melody Roberts.
4, Chairman.
Councillor Alex Wade.
4, Chairman.
And I am for it as well. Okay, that's done.
Councillor Malcolm Wade.
I've forgotten you, haven't I? Councillor Sean Cullen. Yeah, it's because you're below one of the others who was not voting on the list. My apologies. You're for it as well. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Right. Now we move to item 11, which is the risk report. Sue, do you want to lead on this one?
Yeah, I've not got much to say on this other than it's an incredibly long document. And I understood, in fact, Sean produced this, and I understand it's using the new risk wizard that was introduced possibly a year or two ago. And it's to satisfy basically the audit requirements.
Okay, well, this is first to note, members. Anybody make any comments or duly noted? Everybody happy with it?
If I can make a comment at this
Certainly.
point, Chairman, we are going to be having oversight and doing a review on this at a future date, but for the meeting tonight, it is just to note this.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. Okay, right, members, duly noted. Any more comments before we move on? Okay, we'll move on to item 16, which is a fixed asset list. To receive the fixed asset list, this is for noting as well, isn't it, Sue?
Yeah, basically this we have to do every year, and also it's part of the end of year audit requirements to do an updated asset register. What I have tried to do here is put it in an easy to read and understand format, and on the second page I've highlighted what the changes are basically, so you haven't got to keep reading it.
No, it was very well done. Okay, members, any comments on this? Right, that is noted. We now move on to item 17 to receive the update on the final effect of COVID for the period of March the 1st to the 31st of March 2021 on page 95. So I'm just going to. Any comments on that, members? Okay, and B is to receive the bank reconciliation for March 2021, C to receive the accounts for payment for March 2021, and D to receive the end Q4 financial strategy report. These are, again, for noting, isn't that not right, Sue?
Yeah, it's basically to formally agree them, really, to note that you've seen them, agreed them, and you're okay with them.
Yeah, we don't need to vote on that though, do we?
No, you can take it as a blanket vote, a blanket approval.
Right, okay, are we all happy with that, members? Yeah, I'll take that as everybody's.
Happy to approve, Chairman.
Thank you.
Happy to second, happy to approve, yeah.
Right, well, members, thank you very much. That is it for tonight's meeting. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, officers, for serving us and helping us out. And thank you, any members of the public who are watching. I hope you enjoyed the experience. Right, good.